Hello and welcome. This is going to be a Naked Fanatics tournament battle replay. I am going to be your host, Vendetta. Now, you probably haven't heard of me, but I am in the tournament, and Narcos did ask me if I could just do a replay for him. So he requested that I do this one, which was me, Vendetta, against HobKnob, and I hope you do enjoy it. It is going to be a bit of a lengthy one, so we'll go through some fast forward. I was hosting, which HobKnob let me do, surprisingly. And I decided to pick Sakuri Ridge. This is a good rush map. Obviously, we've got this hill in the centre, which most armies will bring a melee-orientated army, and they'll decide to rush up the hill, take the enemy out as quickly as possible. But I didn't quite use those tactics, and HobKnob is kind of hanging his head a little bit in shame personally for him, because he doesn't really know what he was doing at the beginning, so it's pretty interesting. So we'll look at the armies and the forces that we both brang. I went for more of a defense army, so I brang Long Yari, Yari Ashigaru, two of those guys. I've got some more Yari Ashigaru at the back. I've then also got my shock troopers in the center ground, and they are Katana Sam. And they've got some bow monks on the top of the at the front of my army, should I say? And what they'll do, they'll be able to lay down some covering fire at the top when I get to it. And then I've got Captain Cabinet, who is my general, and he is a leadership general. There he is. And then we can't even see his army just yet. So we'll put it into play to begin with. But HobKnob, what kind of general have you brang for us? He has bought, I think, mainly a melee general, it looks like. And yeah, it's just melee. So he's got that Banzai ability, which would be pretty useful for him. I'm never too keen on melee generals because I see it as you're only upgrading one kind of unit of your army rather than the whole of your army. Whereas leadership general boosts the morale of everyone. So we'll look at what he's brung. He has got some hidden units. I think he's got 2 Katana units over here. We'll look at his main melee force at the moment. So he's got some Bow Samurai, he's got some Naginata attendants, and okay. Windows 7 just decides to crap out on me sometimes. Anyway, so we've got some Bow Samurai, some Naginata attendants, we've got some Matchlock Samurai at the front, which are going to be pretty devastating. He's got Nodachi, Warrior Monks, Naginata Samurai, he's got some Katana Samurai, and some more Naginata Warrior Monks, and that's what he's got at the moment. So got some interesting tactics going on here. He's just going to pull off to the side here. Now, I decided to charge straight up the hill and put it into fast forward because nothing really is going to happen for a while. Now, what I was planning on doing was holding this top bit here and putting my Yari Ashigaru into spear wall, because as you can see, these guys at the stats box in the corner, they've got 19 melee defense. These guys have got 17. I think these guys, they've got 19 and they got 17. So obviously, if he charges straight up the hill with sword units, he's going to get destroyed. Which is pretty much why I brang these guys here. And then if he did have any line breakthroughs, then I could just chop him up with some Katana troops. So that was initially going to be my plan, but HobKnob, he was kind of talking to me in chat like, oh god, why did I do this? Because now he's kind of just on the red line, backed off, which is, to be honest, I think it's actually a good move, because if he did try to approach directly up the Sakura Ridge hill, he would have been forced back, because you can't charge, Yari Ashigaru with this high melee defense, especially with sword units. Your only real counter is going to be, some sort of bow samurai or bow monk, or any type of ranged unit is really going to mince up any type of Yari Ashigaru spear wall. So that's really what he kind of had to do. So it's actually a very good move that he pulled over all of his units over here, and we'll get to just see a Katana cavalry pop out the back. And really what I was planning on doing was trying to get to the top, and if he sat there at the bottom, then I could have just picked it in safely with some bow monks, which are now beginning to mirror his army. So we will be kind of on this stalemate for a good long while, both just be staring each other down. He's really going to have to think of what he's going to do, because he has got some very, very good units. I think I saw one unit. Yeah, here we go, the Katana Samurai with 18 melee attack. They'll be beasting, they'll be doing a bit of damage to me. And really what he is going to be doing is he's going to be taking his units around the flank here. Don't know if we get to actually see them. Yes, some Naginata Samurai, and you also have some Nagi attendants, I think, as well, along with some matchlocks, and that's going to be a good little flanking force. Because what he really has to do, he can't approach me in just one big blob, because if he does that, if he just does a straight-on attack, my Yari wall is going to hold him in place, and I can flank or reinforce the spear wall with my katana troops. So really it's not going to be too great for him, because these guys have got that 19 melee attack and their katana troops. So, you know, these guys are the anti-infantry units of any type of army. So really he has to think a bit more of a kind of unorthodox approach to it. So by splitting up his army, he's actually doing a very, very good job of it, because he can keep my attention in this area, because, you know, this has got all of his melee fighting ability, but at the same time he can then take along some sort of ranged unit and pick at me from a distance. So really that is kind of good, and then he will also be taking his cavalry around the back here. And again, what he's doing is that he's taking my attention to several different places, which is really, really good, because, you know, with playing with a Yari wall is incredibly difficult. You know, your micro has to be really top notch in order to actually use it effectively, because these guys, as soon as they get into spear wall, they're practically immobile. You know, they're not going to be a very good unit for just moving around and countering any enemy attacks. So what he's doing at the moment, he's hiding his units in here. Still, I'm a bit worried, but I'm not going to give up my position. I've stood at the top of the security ridge. I've ran up there, I've got the priority, and really, you know, if he's going to run uphill with melee troops into a spear wall, it's going to spell bad news for him. So he's kind of got to wait me out a bit. And these matchlocks are actually a very, very good idea of doing that. I think he's got some bow samurai, but of course, I will still hold the skirmishing advantage there with these bow monks. So really, he has got to split my attention up, and it's a good idea that he does this. So, I mean, HobKnob, you're saying to me, oh God, why did I just go off to the red line and avoid charging up the hill? Actually, that was a very, very good idea you did. It's a very, very good thing you did, because again, as I said, if you tried to charge me directly, you probably would have lost straight away. Because, you know, these guys have got such high melee defense, but these guys have got such a high melee attack. So he would have been chomped up either way. But by doing this, he's prolonging it, and I will get very, very impatient, and I will be moving out shortly. And there they are. There are the Matchlock Samurai trotting their way over to the other side of the hill. But of course, the only problem with, you know, kind of having that Matchlock Samurai there is that they are going to have to get to the top of this hill, which means they're going to have to get dangerously close to my army before they can get, you know, any volleys off. Because, you know, as we've seen with Matchlock Samurai, their main, you know, the worst thing that they can do is just kind of shoot uphill, because bows can have that arc of fire, they can shoot over objects, whereas matchlocks are going to have that line of sight. So unfortunately for him, he will just have to truck them up a little bit closer. But he has got some spear units, some naginata units. So, you know, if I did have any cavalry, then, you know, obviously I can't charge it, because I like to think of there are two types of units. There's isolated units and then there's non-isolated units. An isolated unit is something which cannot defend itself against cavalry. So I don't know, for example, if I sent this matchshot unit out into the middle of nowhere with no spear support, with no cav support, that is an isolated unit, and it can get absolutely annihilated by enemy cavalry. But what he's done here is he's still kept on his spear units, which is good, because that means that this unit is now not isolated. You always want to have units that are not isolated, because then they can't be charged by, you know, some surprising cav attack. And he's going to take his cavalry round the back here, which is a very, very good move, because again, as I said, it's going to draw my position to several different places. And I'll get impatient. I'll be thinking, what do I do? Because again, this formation is incredibly hard to play with unless you're playing against a straight up rush army. Because if they rush spears with swords, they're going to get destroyed pretty darn quickly. And with these bitchin' katana units behind me, that 19 melee attack, you know, they're going to beast, basically, to put it bluntly. But he is starting to move up on my flank now, which is beginning to concern me a little bit. The reason he did actually pull through the woods, I think I can remember now, it was actually to see if I had any cavalry, which is a good move. But because I brung such a big army, you know, there's no kind of chance that I'm going to be bringing any cavalry as well, because my cavalry is all about a grand each. You know, it's about 1,000 koku per cav for me personally. So it looks like I'm going to be moving off, because I'm getting a little bit impatient now. Because I saw his army move in. I don't want to get flanked by here. And what I'm thinking is that if I can engage his army quickly before these guys can engage me, then really that takes away the benefit of those matchlocks and that naginata units and those surrounding nagi attendant units. So that'll be a huge benefit. But unfortunately for me, I have left my monks behind. And it looks like I'm not really going to be supporting with any spear units, which is, well, I'm going to have to slap my own wrists here. This is poor work by me, because his katana cavalry are just going to get a good mincing session, and he's going to begin to pepper me with some bow samurai. Now, I would just like to point out here as well that a lot of people put their cavalry in wedge formation. Personally, I wouldn't advocate it because unless you're trying to break a thin layer of spears, so for example, I don't know, it's not really a good example, but say I've had a Yari Ashigaru over here and it was a 2-rank formation and you've got some lovely soft sword center behind them. That's when you then want to be using this wedge formation, because what it does is it breaks the line really nice and it cleaves the enemy line apart, ready for a good massive hit in the soft center. Now, if he had a nice long extended line, for example, so if he had a nice long straight line, he could have absolutely wiped out this whole bow unit, this whole bow monk unit immediately and caused even further damage. I'm going to try and do, or I am currently in the middle of doing some Shogun 2 tutorial videos. So, if you do want, any of this kind of information, any of these sort of tactics, please go on over there. It's Legendary Tactics, but I'll be covering that one shortly. And that is just a little tip when charging. So don't always assume that wedge formation is going to give you better charge or better damage, because generally it's not, unless you're going to be breaking through thin lines of spears. So we'll hurry up a little bit more. So, as I mentioned, the problem with this army is its mobility. These guys are difficult to position. Yari Ashigaru are, to put it bluntly, shit, but in the right circumstances, they can be incredible. As I've mentioned, these guys can beat sword units in a straight up rush, and really they have to just be in that spear wall, because again, in Legendary Tactics, I do actually demonstrate in the spear video that spear wall can just be devastating. It looks like I was late doing my spear wall here, and these guys won't do as well as they could have done. So what I've done is I've split my units up in two, so I've got my bows back here, trying to pick it as units before they get to me. His units are engaging, we both rallied. He is charging kind of in a nice column formation, which again, you probably want to be going for a more extended line. I'll take my katana troops out to the back. He has done a war cry. Oh my god, monks are so OP. And unfortunately, I am only a 4-star general. No, I'm a 4 silver star general. So unfortunately, I'm not quite ranked all the way to the top, which means I don't have my stand and fight. And he's going to be hitting me from the rear, but unfortunately his cavalry is going to get hit by my monks and my Yari Ashigaru. Is that his monks? His monks are here, but they do actually manage to stay in for the fight for quite a while, I imagine. And I do kind of think to myself, oh crap, I need to get those katana units off to the flank, and these guys are hitting from the flank as well. I needed to extend the line a little bit more so I could hit and get a nice full charge and good, nice solid surface. I'll be pulling these Naginata monks into the back to kind of try and protect, but then I see that I think I do have a break in the centre, to which these katana troops will cover. And my bow monks have done a fair bit of damage, only 65 kills, which isn't too great, but I've then also got my Naginata warrior monks to try and protect the back line so I don't get hit from behind. And really, it is looking like it's going my way at the moment. I think this is a general just here. Yeah, HobKnob. My bow monks are doing a good job in holding these guys up. I'm not expecting these guys to come out alive. And all of a sudden, he has done an incredible job as HobKnob, as he has made my general route. And unfortunately, this is another problem with Yari Spearwall, is that these guys are all now going to run. So that's pretty much just 2 of my Yari Ashigaru, 2 of the main units which are actually holding my line to begin with, and there's one at the back. He's got 106 men left. They were holding from any cav charges or any rear charges. They've now gone, so all of my Ashigaru have now fled, and it is really completely turned for HobKnob. My guys are not looking too great. Although I have just got some very, very good sword units left. These guys are now on their way routing. These sword units, for some reason, I had a bit of a micro lapse, and these Naginata warrior monks are churning into my long Yari, and we're going to have a very slow and painful looking charge, it looks like, to which these monks should hopefully break for me. And these guys, I think, yeah, they're still getting chased down by HobKnob, but I've still got my warrior monks left who've got a beasting 19 melee defense, and looks like they're just going to mince up that Naginata attendant unit. These Naginata warrior monks are getting destroyed, now they're gone. He then does a second rally from his general, which really is going to be needing because my veterans, my second shock troopers and my first shock troopers, these guys have got 19 melee defense. That's going to beast any type of unit, but unfortunately for him, they can't take the deal with it, and they do rout along with his general, I presume. And the Naginata Samurai, they've only lost 2 men, but they will also ensue in a rout. So that was definitely a heart-pounding match, and I was definitely crapping myself at the end there. But if you're going to bring any Yari Ashigaru units, really you're going to have to bring some, some good quality kind of veteran units. So I do think that's a good army to bring. You got that quality element to it, to which they managed to win me that battle. But of course, that Yari Ashigaru gave me the number, and it gave me that bit of that sustain. And if I had a leadership general, if I was a 10-star general, my army would not have routed as quickly. So let's go to the results screen. Hello guys, so here we are at the results screen. So as you can see, that Yari Ashigaru really did pay off. Yes, they're on the kind of expensive side because they were about 6 or 7 chevron, but they are a lot cheaper. Because I mean, those sword units I brought, they were about 1,000 koku each. Yes, they were bitching, but just for that few extra numbers, it really did pay off. Because as you can see there, we did bring roughly the same amount of soldiers, but I did bring about 115 more. I only actually killed just under 100 more, so it is kind of beneficial to have those crap units there to churn up. And there we go. So the first shock troopers did rack up a lot of kills. Those are the anti-infantry units, and really the goodness me, the Yari Ashigaru are really there just to hold the line. And they did do an okay job, but if my general didn't flee as quickly, poor Captain Cabinet at the bottom there with that famous 1 kill, if he didn't die, then they would have stayed in a lot longer. Now, HobKnob's army actually did very, very well. He probably could have used his cavalry a little bit better to effect, so micro in that cav instead of plopping all of your cav in one area of an enemy's army, split it up and hit 2 points at the same time, and that's really going to have a much bigger morale detriment to the enemy army. So those Naginata warrior monks, they beasted. I think they were against my long Yari Ashigaru. Then Odachi also did a very, very good job. And yeah, that's kind of it. Unfortunately, the matchlocks they got no kills, so that's unfortunate for him. But I hope you've enjoyed this battle. And if you haven't seen my channel, please go over to it, and I'll link this to the Naked Fanatics website. So thank you for watching, and bye for now.